Honestly, y'all, I don't even know how many books this is. We're gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 56, 57, 58, 59 books. That's so embarrassing. Oh my god. I literally cannot buy any more books until I read at least half of these. This is insane. This is just honestly really embarrassing. Like, the fact that I've spent so much money on physical books when I have a Kindle is beyond me. Like, genuinely beyond me. Drink of the day. We have a Dutch Bros Rebel, Electric Berry Rebel. Anyways, welcome back to my channel. I finally bought a TBR cart, and the goal for this year, initially, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do it. Initially, the goal for this year was to finish my physical TBR, read every single book that I own physically, and that way I can start the next year fresh. I can get rid of the books that I didn't love. However, I've just continued to buy books, and it's become a little bit of a problem. I'm on a massive book buying ban right now, and I feel like I have made no progress in my physical TBR this year because I had all of my books spread out between this bookshelf here and our main bookshelf over there. Every time I would finish a book, I would come in and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I finished another book. I finished so many books this year, and I would put it back on the shelf and pick out another one, but it was hard to visualize how many books I've actually read versus the ones that I haven't. So I figured the solution to that was to buy a TBR cart. So I went to IKEA and I bought this cart here, this lovely cart. The goal for me, at least, was to have a 360 cart so I could put books on both sides. And today we are going to fill that cart. I pulled all of the books from my physical TBR off of the shelves, all the books that I haven't read. I didn't include 2 memoirs that I haven't read yet because right now I'm honestly not in a memoir mood. They're not my favorite reads. 59 books. And honestly, it's really bad, but the first thought in my head was, oh my gosh, I should buy one more just so I have 60. Like, are you kidding me? You don't need more. So I organized all of them by genre. We're gonna go ahead and fill up this cart, and I'm gonna walk y'all through what I decide to put where and why. So I think the top of this cart I really want to be like my current TBR and my summer reads, so like all the books that I want to read first. So I started a stack of those. So first we're gonna start off with my current read that I started last night, which is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I did actually buy this book on Kindle. Honestly, I know it's kind of a waste of money to buy it like physical and on Kindle, but here's the thing. It's a Barnes & Noble exclusive, and it's just really stiff. I wanted to read it on something more comfortable, so I ordered it on Kindle. I'm gonna stop talking. So that book's gonna go up here first. First book in the TBR cart. Next, I also have the novella called Powerful. This is going to be my next read. I don't know why I bought it before even reading Powerless, because what if I don't like Powerless? I'm sure I will. But I bought this, so this is the read that I'm going to be reading quickly after Powerless. Then I have a couple of books that I'm currently in the middle of that I've been reading really slowly, and I think y'all are going to shame me for this next one. Queen of Shadows. I have been reading this book since February. It is June. So sorry about it. I honestly got burnt out on Throne of Glass. I loved the first couple of books, but then it just really felt like it was dragging on. I am going to finish this book. I promise y'all. I'm gonna finish the series. It's on the TBR. It's just not something that I've been in the mood for. So she's gonna go on the second shelf. Next up, same case scenario, is Fourth Wing. However, I have been reading Fourth Wing more recently. I'm only about like 50 pages in, but I sped through the first 50. There's just a lot of words on every page, and it takes a while to read. But this is a book that I do want to read soon, so it is going to go up on the top shelf. I might move that, but I'm not sure yet. Next, I bought a couple of books the other day, which I know I didn't need to buy any more books. too late, already bought them. I have Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. This one's going to be one of my reads that I'll be coming up on, as well as The Library of Borrowed Hearts. I picked up these books specifically that I'm putting on the shelf right now to read this summer, so that's why they're going straight up there, even though I haven't had them super long. I have The Summer I Turned Pretty. I only bought the first one just in case I didn't really love it. I didn't want to buy the whole series, which is something you'll notice I did a lot, especially with fantasy books. I bought the whole series before reading the first one, so wouldn't recommend doing that. It's not smart. But that's gonna go on the top shelf. And then I have 2 Ellen Hildebrand books. I have The Hotel Nantucket and The 5-Star Weekend. These are also gonna go up here. And now we're gonna get into the stacks. So first I'm gonna go through the smallest stack. This is my general fiction books, as well as some of my like thriller mystery style books. So the first one that I have is The Reappearance of Rachel Prince. This is Holly Jackson's newest book. I got it from Book of the Month. I still haven't read it, but I am excited to read it. It's just not on the forefront of what I want to read right now. I feel like thrillers and mysteries are really fall time books, and because it's summertime, I haven't really been in the mood to read them. So they are going to go on the bottom shelf, but I promise they will be read. I have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, same thing as the last book. It's just not been in my radar, honestly. I have 5 Survived by Holly Jackson. This one I've had since like 2 Christmases ago. Next up I have The Sweet Spot by Amy. I just dropped it. Next up I have The Sweet Spot by Amy Popel. Sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce it, but lovely cover. I actually really want to read this book. It seems super cute and like a really quick, fun read. This book just hasn't been on the forefront of my mind, but I definitely think I'm going to enjoy it. I have The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This is a book that I saw a lot of hype about on TikTok and like ads and stuff like that, and it's a book that I really do want to read, so I am going to put it on the top shelf. I feel like that's a book I'll read in literally one sitting, so why not get it read over the summer. I have Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Honestly, I don't know that I'm going to read this book. To be honest, I'm not sure. It might not end up getting read, but it's going to go on the TBR cart for now. I got it in a like mystery book package. It just fell. I got it in one of those like mystery book packages where you like read the description on the outside but you don't know what's inside the wrapping, and I was really disappointed when I opened it. Sorry to the author. It's nothing against you. The book just doesn't seem to intrigue me. Next up I have Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale. I have been dying to read this book. It is on the forefront of my mind, and it's probably going to be one of the next reads that I pick up, so it's definitely going in the top for summer. I have The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I have All the Light We Cannot See. This one's gonna go on the bottom as well. And then I have Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone. I also got this book from a really cute stand at a market, so I picked this one up because I had The Nightingale and I've heard such great things about Kristen Hanna's writing. However, The Nightingale is more at the forefront of my mind and this one is not, so it's gonna go on the bottom for now. And lastly, in the fiction pile, we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. I actually got this book signed, but this one seems so interesting to me. I honestly really think I'm gonna enjoy this book, but it just hasn't been on the top of my head. I don't know. I think I'm gonna put this one on the second shelf. I think she belongs here. Okay, next is romance. So I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm kind of dividing this by genre to an extent, as well as like when I want to read the books. This is basically this is going to be my current TBR. This is going to be books that might come afterwards, but also I think a lot of fantasy is going to go on this shelf, and then a lot of miscellaneous on the bottom, but in romance. So for a really long time, all I read was romance, and recently I have been branching out and wanting to read more fiction, fantasy, thrillers, anything but romance. I'm really sick of the third act breakup. I'm tired of reading it. But I still have a lot of romance books I need to get through. That doesn't mean I'm never going to read them. It just means right now I'm not in the mood to read them. I'm a huge mood reader. First up, I have a couple of Emily Henry books. I have Book Lovers, Beach Read, and People We Meet on Vacation. I have read her 2 most recent books and I absolutely loved Happy Place. I think for summertime, Beach Read is gonna go on the top for books that I want to read soon. I would almost put People We Meet on Vacation on there, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to put the rest of these in the second row. Next, I have Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm not the biggest fan of her writing. I do enjoy it. I really liked The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but when I've read her books outside of that, they weren't my favorite. So I think this one is gonna go on the bottom. Next up, I have Sophie Cousins' The Good Part. This book really intrigued me. I haven't really heard much about it. I'm sure it's popular and I just have been out of the loop. But I did pick this up at a used bookstore and it just seems really interesting to me. So I'm gonna put that on the second shelf. Next, I have the entire Dreamland Billionaire series. This series, it's really intriguing to me. I have heard so many good things about the fine print specifically. Also, ignore the fact that I have like 2 new editions and one that's not. I didn't realize when I bought them. But these books are all on the Kindle and I'm probably gonna read them on the Kindle and then see if I like them and decide if I want to keep them. So these books are gonna go on the bottom. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna read them anytime soon. It just means that they are on the Kindle and I don't need to pick up the physical copy. When I bought them, I did not have a Kindle at the time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have grabbed the physical copies until I read them. But it is what it is. Next up, we have Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. This is Lynn Painter's newest adult romance. I really love Lynn Painter's writing, and I also feel like this is a super quick read, so I am going to put it at the top for summertime. My camera's gonna die, so I need to hurry this up. I have How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. This is a newer book as well. I did get the hardback from Book of the Month, unfortunately, even though I love a paperback book. That's my favorite. Next up, I have Christina Lauren's The Paradise Problem. I just read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren and I really enjoyed it, so this book's gonna go at the top for a summer read. Also, it's a tropical book. It's obviously a summer read and I need to get this one finished. It's also new, so I want to be around when all the hype is there. Next up, I have Ready or Not by Cara Bastone, or Cara. This is a pregnancy trope romance. I have never read one of these before, but it was something different, something that I could branch out into. I'm not super eager to read this one right now, so it is going to go on the second shelf. Next up, I have Magnolia Parks. This book obviously is going to go on the top. There's so much hype about Magnolia Parks right now, and I think that I need to hop on that train. I have We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This one I'm not super eager to read. It's been around for forever. I genuinely think this book was written in like 2015 or something like that. I have literally had this book for years and never picked it up. I have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This is a YA romance. I did get the sprayed edges because I was like, of course I need this. This is, okay, can you even see that? I was like, of course I need the sprayed edges. It's so pretty. They're like blue with white hearts on it. But I personally am not super connected to YA romances, so I'm not gonna put it at the top, but I'm gonna put it on the second shelf. Next, I have Again But Better by Christine Riccio. This book was given to me by my friend Natalie, and she really wants me to read it, so I am going to put it on the second shelf. I will get to it, I promise. This entire shelf is becoming romance. I'm gonna switch it around, I promise. Next up, I have The Rulebook by Sarah Adams. This is Sarah Adams' newest book. I have not read a Sarah Adams book yet, but I am excited to get into it. This book is gonna go on the top shelf. We have Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I have really wanted to read this one, so top shelf it goes. Nora Goes Off Script. This is another book that I feel like is a good, quick summer read, so I am going to put this on the top shelf. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I have heard so many great things about this book, but I just have not been gravitated towards it. I did start reading it. I got about 10 pages in and then I DNF'd it for the time. I am going to get back into it. I promise. It's gonna go on the second shelf for now. Then I have 3 Ali Hazelwood books. I have Loath to Love You, Love on the Brain, and The Love Hypothesis. These books are not going to go on the top shelf for my summer reads, but they are coming soon. All right, I did a little bit of reorganizing so that I could get this to look the way that I want it to look. Obviously, I mentioned Queen of Shadows earlier. Though I am in the middle of it, of course, I still haven't read the rest of Throne of Glass because, like, I'm in the middle of it. So the rest of this series is gonna go right here because I don't want to stick it on the bottom. I will never get to it if I do. But I really loved this series. I just need to get back into it. I don't remember which one comes first, so don't judge me. Next up, I have The Inheritance Games. This is one book that I bought literally just for the sprayed edges. However, the plot does seem interesting. It's just on the Kindle, so I would have just read it on the Kindle, but this was gorgeous. I couldn't pass it up. Okay, so this video is going great because my camera died, so I had to take a step back, let it charge. We're here. Okay. Anyways, where were we? Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After. Look how pretty this book is. Honestly, that's why I got the sequel to it, but I have stopped buying entire series before reading the first book. It's something that I used to do. Don't do it anymore because I've definitely experienced a couple of authors that I was just not the biggest fan of, but I had to get the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition when they had it in stock, so. And I honestly feel like these are pretty quick reads too. I'm not sure if these are YA, I think they are. I do really want to read these soon. I'm gonna put them next to Throne of Glass. I guess I forgot, but on the topic of Sarah J Maas, I also have the entire Crescent City series right now. Obviously I haven't finished Throne of Glass yet, and these are books that I'm definitely gonna dive into probably more in the fall time. I am gonna put them on the bottom shelf for now, just so that they're pulled off of my main bookshelf and I know like, hey, you need to get into these. But by the end of the year, I want to hopefully have all of Sarah J Maas's books finished. Next up we have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I have read Divine Rivals, and honestly, it wasn't my favorite fantasy book. Everybody obsesses over Divine Rivals, but I wasn't vibing with it the same way everybody else was, and I picked up Ruthless Vows before I read Divine Rivals. So now I have to read it. I am interested to read it, but I just don't feel like it's going to be super captivating. I didn't love the first one, but I am going to read this one, and I do want to read this one soon because it's going to complete the duology for me, so I'm going to put this on the top shelf. Next I have Iron Flame, which is the sequel to Fourth Wing. Obviously Fourth Wing is right here, so I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna try to fit this somewhere on the cart, not anywhere specifically, because it just depends on when I finish Fourth Wing that I'll read this one. I also have Lightlark and Nightbane. These are by Alex Astor, so this is a current duology. I believe there is going to be a third one coming out later this year, but I have these two books. I'm really excited to read these. Honestly, I think I'm gonna put them together on this rack, but not in a specific place. Like I said, I'm a big mood reader, and because they're not at the top of my radar, I don't know if I'll put it on the top yet, but I'm definitely gonna give these a read soon. They are YA, so I feel like they'll be super easy reads. And last but not least, I have the entire Caraval trilogy. I have Caraval, Legendary, and Finale. This was on my TBR for April, and I never ended up getting around to it. It is now June, and I still haven't read it, but I have been in kind of a fantasy mood, and honestly, these books are really intriguing to me. I like how big the words are on the page. I feel like I could read it pretty quickly. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when I pick up a physical book, one of the first things that I look at is how big the font is, because if it's really small, I'm honestly not gonna read it. Like, I mean, I'll read it, just maybe on the Kindle. I don't have the best eyesight, so. But I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the cart. I'm gonna do a little bit of reorganizing to try to get it to look the way that I want, and then I will show you guys the finished product. All right guys, so I did some organizing and I got every book on this cart. So I'm gonna explain to you how I ended up like fully setting it up. It is pretty similar to how I was doing it before, but there's a couple of changes. So up here on the front, I have most of the books that I want to get to reading as soon as possible, and then my current reads that I'm like kind of in the middle of right here, aside from Queen of Shadows, which is down here with the rest of the Throne of Glass series. So these are the books that I have that I'm going to be hopefully reading this summer if I stick to it. Like I said, I'm a big mood reader. On the back side of the top shelf, we have our two hardcover romances that just honestly didn't fit right here. I have Iron Flame, which obviously I will be reading after Fourth Wing. We have Nightbane and Lightlark, just because they didn't fit anywhere else on the cart. Then we have a couple of romances here, two Lynn Painters and The Sweet Spot. Actually, I don't think that's romance. Then on the second shelf, I put all of my fantasy series, well, not all of them, but as many as I could fit at the front here. The first Inheritance games, and then on the back side it gets to be mostly romance. These are all romance books here, and then I have Ruthless Vows, which I want to read ASAP because I do want to finish this duology. And then I have a couple of hardcover books right here. On the back side of the bottom, I have my Crescent City and the Dreamland Billionaires series. And obviously the bottom isn't quite full yet, but I do have just some miscellaneous fiction books down here that I want to get to, but they're not on the priority list. And then I have some thrillers right here. Alright, but that is my completed TBR cart and tour that I'm going to give you guys today. Now I need to go reorganize my practically empty bookshelves at this point. It's really bad how many of the books on that bookshelf that I haven't read yet. Now the goal is to complete as many of these books as possible, as quick as possible, so that I can buy more books, of course. Anyway, this is the current TBR cart situation, and I will keep you guys updated on my reading and everything. You can follow me on TikTok. I think I'm gonna do a series of reading the books that I have on my physical TBR. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit subscribe below, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!